Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie Shurtleff. I'm the Associate State Director of Advocacy and Outreach with AARP Connecticut. So, welcome to another episode of Coffee and Tea with AARP, our bi weekly interview series where we talk with important people in Connecticut about the issues that matter most to the 50 plus here in Connecticut. So, today, AARP volunteer Pat Wilson is joining us to welcome West Hartford Mayor Shari Cantor. She's going to discuss some of the work that West Hartford is doing to make the community even more livable for people of all ages. And they really have been doing a lot of incredible work in West Hartford. So we're excited to have Mayor Cantor joining us here today. So welcome.
Thank you.
But before we dive in, I'd like to invite Pat Wilson to introduce yourself and share a little bit about your role as a AARP volunteer.
Thanks, Natalie. I am Pat Wilson, and I've been a volunteer with AARP for over 10 years. I worked with Advocacy, our team that works on Connecticut bills, helped with supporting caregivers, and helped with end-of-life issues. And in West Hartford, I'm also a member of the Sustainable West Hartford Commission.
Thank you for really all you do for AARP, and excited that we were able to have a West Hartford resident joining us in our conversation with Mayor Cantor. So Mayor Cantor, thank you for joining us today. Before we dive into today's topic, do you want to share a little bit about yourself and your role as Mayor of West Hartford?
Sure, Natalie. Good morning. And Pat, thank you so much for all that you do as a volunteer for AARP and for our community. I'm really thrilled to be here. And Natalie, really, we've been so really excited to work with you and to learn and to really make ourselves a better community. So I've been on the council for a long time. When I joined the council, I have four sons, and my youngest son was in second grade, and he's going to be 30 in a couple of months. So that's a little crazy when I think about it. I've been mayor for over 10 years. Just over 10 years, similar to Pat being on AARP volunteer. And so I've aged in this role, and from having a younger children to now having grandchildren. And my mom is going to be 98 on Thursday. So I've seen how I have four generations in West Hartford. My actually my mom and my granddaughters are having dinner tonight, and so it's a really a beautiful thing to watch how we volunteers like we're all volunteers. I'm not a paid mayor, but having that opportunity to make our community better, knowing that vantage point of having this wide range of ages that want to be in the community, want to stay in the community, and want to live a very full life in the community. So, what I love about working with you and the Age Friendly Initiative, and we'll talk more about it, is just that how holistic we can look at our community and how we can truly make it better. So it's an honor being a volunteer for West Hartford. I grew up here, and my mom is still in the house I grew up in, which is a whole nother discussion. But it's really been so nice, and it's a great community, and I'm just honored to be a volunteer mayor for this terrific community.
West Hartford recently joined the AARP network of age-friendly communities. What inspired the town to take this important step, and what does becoming an age-friendly community mean for our residents?
Thank you, Pat. And I think I touched on it just a little bit, but we are always looking to the future. And I think that's one of the things that makes West Hartford a little bit unique in that We want to know 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, what is going to happen in our community? Are we making things better? And so about over a year ago, we really started the work to say we want to be a part of this age-friendly initiative, and we want to do the work to make sure that people can age in a town that they love and have it be a place that welcomes them and makes their lives better. So this isn't just about older adults. It's about making our community safer, more connected, more accessible for everybody, whether that's me pushing my 18-month-old granddaughter on the street or my mom who has visual and depth perception issues and can't, step necessarily in a way that is going to be safe. So looking at it from all those different aspects has really been so interesting and exciting for us. And we really have learned a lot about who we are, what the challenges are, what the opportunities are. And it's really, really exciting. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think what you said there about it, affecting people of all ages, what's good for your 18-month-old granddaughter on up to your mom. And I have young kids, so I'm out walking and I'm pushing my kids in a stroller, and curb cut that's designed maybe for a wheelchair is also really helpful to a mom pushing a stroller or a grandma pushing a stroller. And so a lot of these things that we're doing to, make our communities more better for everyone. It really, benefit everyone in the community.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I also want to mention that since I live near the center of town, I try to walk whenever I can to meetings, to do errands, to the restaurants, etc. And it's so important. Walking is what we need.
That's right.
Another question for you, Mayor. West Hartford was also recently ranked as the most livable community in Connecticut, according to AARP's Livability Index. That's an incredible achievement. What factors do you think contributed to that recognition, and what does it say about the community that you have worked to build?
So I think it's a great reflection, and it really is an honor to be named the most livable community. And I think it's the planning that goes on and the thoughtful working towards being a better community. So Pat, you just said walking. We are a community with 220 miles of sidewalk. Pretty amazing. And I'm sure during the snow periods, that is an extremely challenging undertaking for many homeowners. But and I think I have the most sidewalk in town. But anyway, it is really it is an important perspective of saying that we want people to be able to get from one place to another safely. We also want people to be appreciated and celebrated for who they are. We want our community to be more sustainable, to have a plan about getting better and better and better, whether it's trash or whether it is biking and walking, whether it is just all different kinds of aspects of the way you look at your community. We want to make sure that our libraries are serving all of our residents and not just certain age groups or anybody is really excluded from something. That would be something that we would really need to pay attention to. So it's very, very, again, a holistic way of a community. Sometimes people will say to me that you can't be everything to everybody, and I don't think that's true. And I don't think our town has ever looked at it in a way that, or not in the recent past, surely not in the last 10 years, where we are, okay, this is what we are and who we should be, and serve these people. We really want to be a community that is welcoming, that it continues to be a place where people of all incomes, all ages, want to be, and we celebrate that, and I think it makes us better. So I think those things have really helped, whether it's out public art or the places where people gather and community events, whether it's a family Blueback Square event or an enriching program at the Noah Webster House. I mean, all of those things make us a more livable community and a community where people can feel this is home and not just a place where they maybe park a car, but this is where they belong.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, anytime you're, walking through the West Hartford Center or through, Blueback Square, you can feel that. And it's always, go there on a weekend and it's so lively and there's so much going on and it's just such a great place to be. But one of the things that we keep touching on is walkability and everything that the city is doing to make it safer for pedestrians and really all people. So we know that safe streets and walkable neighborhoods have been a priority for West Hartford. And West Hartford has embraced Vision Zero, a strategy aimed at eliminating traffic fatalities and serious injuries. Can you tell us more about the town's Vision Zero efforts and some of the steps being taken to improve pedestrian safety?
I would love to. I mean, this is a extremely important initiative and a very big priority of the town. And I'm really proud of the work that we've done. I mean, it came out of some very tragic injuries and deaths, and really shook us in a way. And in post COVID, I think a lot of people were feeling that our streets became less safe, that people were driving faster, that there was just not really attention to road safety. And this was a national trend. So January 10th, 2023, we adopted the Vision Zero strategy, that model, and that is eliminating fatalities and severe injuries by 2033 for us. It was 10 years out. And so then in February, after work with a consultant in end of February in 2024, we adopted an actual plan. And it was based on data. We were the first municipality in the state to adopt a plan. We were not the first municipality in the state to adopt a Vision Zero resolution and make that commitment. Stanford actually was the first. And I called the mayor of Stanford right away, actually, before we adopted, to say, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And we took some of their best practices. And then we really kept moving forward in a pretty fast, very committed way and thoughtful process. So we have a data-based strategy and plan. And if you talk to people, and I've been doing this a long time, the biggest complaint I hear is people drive too fast. And many people that say they drive too fast are people that drive too fast. We find that people in their own neighborhoods even drive too fast. And it's just kind of being aware and relearning road safety. And so we do have a crash dashboard that tells us where those high injury networks are that we targeted first. And then we have long-term plans, and then we have a lot of quick builds. Much of it is about speed and speed mitigation and speed management. And so it's making things a little more difficult for people to go fast. And remember, our cars are great now and drive smoothly. Many people have SUVs that are heavy and but they're dangerous. And going over 25 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour actually, can increase the severity of an injury, either in the car or a more vulnerable user that might be cycling or walking. So we have a number of quick build projects that we have done, and it's hundreds actually. So we've really targeted the places that we control. There are bigger things that we need to do with the state, and we are working on them, but they take a little longer. And so that the roads that we have the authority to address, that's where we're going first. So we prioritize those. So we also want them to be widespread around town. So people experiencing something on one side of town can experience it also on the other side of town. So and throughout town. So whether it's curb extensions to allow people to be out a little farther in a safe way, so a car doesn't cut a corner and maybe hit somebody, or a stroller that's standing in front of you, or a wheelchair that's in front of you, making sure that it's safe for a person that might be, again, in a vulnerable position. We have hardened centers of the line so people are not crossing a line and they become aware of where they are on a street. Medians do slow traffic down, and when you narrow roads, they tend to go a little slower. A very controversial thing was the mini roundabout that had a ton of feedback. But it works, and it slows people down substantially. And we've seen a lot less accidents in the area that we have put those roundabouts. And that was a study that came from the state that suggested actually a number of areas in West Hartford that could benefit from a roundabout with the state roads too. So a pedestrian refuge in the middle of a street. So, you cross a street and you have the midway to wait and then cross again. But one of the things that we really have been focusing on is flashing beacons, making sure that there is, and this was very big around our parks, making sure that people have the ability to press a button, have the flashing beacons go on, not related to a traffic light, but, for people to slow down. Drivers really sometimes don't pay attention to them and drive right through. So as a pedestrian, you still need to be careful to make sure that a car is going to stop. But it's a learning process. These, as they come around, are pop up more often over town, throughout town. I think people will get more used to them. Speed humps, we have found them to be very, very effective. I will say our fire department and our police department do not like them. Fire department especially. But they really do work. They slow traffic down. We have ADA compliant curb ramps that we really feel are really important for not only for wheelchairs or people in walkers, but also, like we said, strollers and other things too. Bus pull-offs, making sure that a bus can actually pull off so people don't have to drive around. And then obviously some of the bigger things like the road diets, making sure that maybe expanding sidewalks. We're doing a lot of work in the center. As we do expand the sidewalks, we're also doing a lot of crosswalk work, and there's so much more to do. I think we've done over 180 improvements throughout the community, and many, many more to follow. So, and one of the things that I've been really talking about, I'm co-chair of the Transportation Committee for our COG, which is the Capital Region Council of Governments. CROG is the capital, and talking about the fact that there are not barriers between our towns, and somebody driving through West Hartford is going to Avon, or they're going to Hartford, and how speed limits change from one street that's then in Hartford to one street in Avon, and that shouldn't be the case. And if we could adopt a more regional strategy and do some more education on whether it's on social, not only, well, it's social media, but also on television, making sure that when people are watching a network program, that they're getting those messages. It's kind of like the old seatbelt push that we did. This needs to be that next public safety step to people slowing down and driving more safely. I'm really proud of the work that we've done. We're not where we need to be yet, but we're farther than most communities have gone. But I want to bring other communities along, and that's part of the process that we're doing, showing people. And I was on a regional meeting just a few days ago, saying it's not that hard to adopt the plan, and really focus on how to make things better. We've committed to the Trout Brook Trail, having that go from the southernmost part of the town to the northernmost part of the town will be over 4 miles, and having that off-road opportunity for people is really the safest way for people to navigate and walk from one area to another, or bicycle from across the town. And I've used it, and I look forward to riding my bike with my granddaughter on it, and having that option to do that. I think it's super important. We actually received some grants because we did the plan. We were able to apply for Safe Streets for All grants, and we have received millions of dollars actually to help improve our streets. New Park Avenue is undergoing a big change in it's a road diet and having a dedicated bike lane on New Park, as well as a connection between the Trout Brook Trail and West Hartford Center, and a number of other improvements that are not going to be West Hartford taxpayer funded, but funded through our federal government, prioritizing safe streets. So we were happy that those grants were honored. They were on hold for a while, but we did actually get the money. So they were a little behind schedule, but we're really happy about that. We're also focusing on school zones and making sure that we have the cameras that we are rolling out very soon, the speed cameras that the state has allowed us to do, and then red light cameras will be about 6 months behind that. But those were funded, a pilot program funded by the federal government, and we had to get approvals by the federal government and the state, different than some of our other municipalities in the state, like Fairfield, that's going through some challenges now. But we had public hearings. We had a lot of public discussion on it. We know that this is an amplifier for our police department and enforcement, and we expect that we are going to be receiving some revenue dollars from speed mitigation. It's limited because the state has been very thoughtful in the way they've helped us to implement the program, but all of that money will go back into making our streets safer. It will not go to the general fund of the municipality to say, oh, this is really a commitment of, we want to eliminate that ticket revenue and have it go back into the town to make sure that we are keeping our drivers at speed limits that are appropriate for each road. So anyway, that's a long-winded answer. It has been a tremendous commitment, and I think we're going to see enormous benefits from it.
And I just
there's
comment.
so much there. So thank you for talking about all of that.
Yeah.
I just want to say that we're all noticing these changes. Rotaries, I think, are fantastic, even though people resist them. They're being used successfully in so many parts of the world, and they're beautiful.
That's
The
right.
other thing that I think is interesting is what we call bollards, which most people think of as just plastic posts sticking up. And people have said to me, "What is this? Why? What?" And I know from working with Natalie that it's partly that visually, when you see something in the road, you start kind of going slower. And so it makes people go slower. There's one near one of our schools where there's an intersection and everyone has to just slow down and think instead of just zooming along.
Right.
And I think part of it is going to be the thinking. We've been driving sometimes without enough thought. Even as pedestrians, we're not always thoughtful. So we're asking everyone to just be a little more thoughtful and focused, which is good.
Well said. Yes.
Now, building on that, of course, we've been saying that walkability is a major factor in both healthy aging and livability. And I think you've touched on this, but do you have any other thoughts about other projects or improvements that will make it easier for people of all ages and abilities to walk, bike, and access local parts of town?
Yeah, so as I said, we are building out more more areas that are dedicated. West Hartford's an older community and we're highly developed. A little different if we were planning from scratch, right? How we I would have put a separate bike lane pretty much everywhere, a separate walking path everywhere. And bike lanes, interesting enough, with electric bikes, that has become a little challenge for pedestrians. So we have to be a little bit more mindful of speed limits and enforcing that as well. So, again, I think it's a raising awareness and having it be a more regional effort. We're going to do the work that we control, and we're going to make West Hartford safer, no question. But I think regionally, we do need that commitment because I need those drivers coming from Newington and Bloomfield to understand the same thing that that this is a priority, right? And we need to do this. So it's continuing the work that we're doing, I would say, and making sure that we are always looking at the most vulnerable users and making sure that we remain one of the most highly walkable communities in the state and actually in the country. It's interesting. I meet young families that have moved from Boston, New York, DC, even California. And why West Hartford? What are you? And they will all say the walkability and the fact that, they love the center and the schools obviously are a big draw, but the fact that you can walk from one place to another and it builds community and people, it's funny. I told you I have four sons, two live in Chicago and two live here. And one of my sons plays banjo and he lives on South Quaker and he, near the park intersection, and he works from home most of the time, not always, but he's a lawyer and he can do a lot of work from home. And he plays banjo and he goes out on his stoop and plays banjo during like lunchtime or for a break. And people are walking by and he's become like friends with people that walk by and sometimes they sit and listen to a song. And it's so funny. Like it's just a really cool way to build community and make us all interconnected in a time when we all can disconnect so easily with social, with our phones and our all the technology that's around us. And this for him is a really wonderful way to connect with people as he's working from home. But I just really think building community, building connectivity, building public safety, and the respect for each and every life, I think is just really a priority for West Hartford, and I think our community embraces it and really will benefit from it.
And I just want to add one more thing. When my family moved to West Hartford 43 years ago, we had little kids, and I wanted to pick some place where we could walk places, bicycle to places, and have great sidewalks. And so it's always been important, and it's always been here.
Mhm. I do just want to add, my mom is, 98 this week. She has walked every day for her, all of my life. I never saw her not walking. And that has been, she also danced with her and my dad were wonderful dancers. But the fact that she walked and made that a priority in her life, there's no question that her quality of life was so much better, has been so much better because she has made that commitment to make her body move and having that be just a part of her life. And is she, and you lead by example, right? So we all are all four of her kids are very active, as are my children. So it's interesting that you watch and that practice of being physical and walking and taking care of your body can really be a gift that's handed down from generation to generation.
Yes.
Well, this has been such an incredible conversation. I don't want to cut it off, but we are almost at time. Is there anything that we haven't covered, Mayor, that you would like to share with our viewers about West Hartford's vision for becoming more livable for people of all ages and more inclusive and really just everything that's going on in West Hartford?
So we've been doing a lot of outreach, and We have been getting good feedback, but I would say if you have not had the opportunity, we're never shutting the door to say, oh, time's up. You didn't fill out the survey. We want to hear from you. And so if there is something that you see that you think we could do better, if there's something that a need that we're not meeting, or something that you saw in another community that you would like to see in our own community. I remember I got a call from a resident about the smiley faces if you're going the right speed on the, in this, in the frown or, slow down sign. A number of years ago, we were one of the first communities to do that. And that was a resident that I was traveling in Europe and had seen it. And she came back and said, this would be great, West Hartford. And it's so funny. We had ordered 2 on a pilot, and then we were like, this is great. Let's just deploy these. So what I really want to just emphasize is that we always need to improve. I'm a runner. I say, if you stand still, you lose the race. So we need to keep moving forward, and the community is going to give us some of our best ideas. And so please, 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 we're open to hear, and we always want to make it better. And I just want to thank Becky Sears and Adrian Billings-Smith for the work that they've done to help to get us to this place and to keep improving. So thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in to another episode of Coffee and Tea with AARP Connecticut. Thank you to our guests today, Mayor Cantor and Pat Wilson. And make sure you tune in again in 2 weeks to check out another episode. Just a little bit of a preview. Mayor Cantor had talked about some of the work going on with CROG, the Capital Region Council of Governments, working to try to support walkability across communities because, the roads don't stop when you leave West Hartford. In a few weeks, we're going to have some guests from CROG talking about their priority pathways report and some of the work that's being done there. So make sure that you tune back in so you can hear more about that. And if you missed that episode, or if you missed any of our previous episodes, you can always tune in to YouTube or Facebook to check out all of our previous episodes. So thank you again for joining us today, and have a great day.